Grand bois, papa Legba, l'ouvri porte là pour moi. M'après les nous assoyer.
Voodoo to me means any good ritual you do, that is your voodoo. Nobody voodoo is greater than your voodoo. Black magic is what you do when the evil comes from you. Voodoo is what you do to keep the evil away from you. Any good ritual you do, that is your voodoo.
Family, what if I told you that your ancestors are still speaking, but most of us have forgotten how to listen? African spirituality is not just history. It's our living connection to the unseen world, to wisdom, healing, and power that no colonizer could ever erase. That's why I created the NOIVD African Spirituality Circle. This is more than a group. It's a sacred community where we share ancestral blessings, dream interpretations, powerful prayers, and the knowledge our people carried for centuries. If you've been searching for guidance, clarity, and family that walks this spiritual path with you, this is your home. Don't walk this journey alone. Join the NOIVD African Spirituality Circle today. The link is waiting for you right now in my bio. Your ancestors have been waiting for
You don't need to be a priest. You don't need a perfect altar. You just need to remember, African spirituality isn't something you join. It's something you return to. It's not about copying others, but listening inward and honoring outward. Ask your elders. What did our people believe before colonization? Let their memory guide you. Learn your ancestors' names. Speak to them in prayer, silence, or whispers. Pour water. Say thank you. That's not superstition, it's communion. Pay attention to your dreams. They carry messages from spirit, from your roots, from within. Study your cultural symbols like Adinkra, Nsibidi, and hieroglyphs. They hold truths colonizers tried to erase. Spend time in our original temple, nature. The wind, fire, and river are living spirits. Reconnecting isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's choosing to remember what was buried. How are you reconnecting to your roots? Comment below. Follow NOIVD for ancestral truth and tools.
Ask me if you could say a prayer for me, for my family, for me and my family. Yes.
What's your name?
Dynast.
Oh,
honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine, all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, powered, promoted, and sponsored by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Our third annual New Orleans International Voodoo Day, May 23rd and 24th, 2026, promises an inspiring and immersive experience with a diverse lineup of engaging events. Highlights include an educational symposium featuring distinguished speakers from around the world, including a delegation of scholars and spiritual leaders from Benin and Haiti, as well as art exhibitions showcasing voodoo inspired works by talented local and international artists. The event will also feature a children's program and an Afroecology exhibit exploring the sacred nature of plants in voodoo, their role in spiritual practices, and their connection to our ancestors. The weekend will culminate in a ceremonial procession to 9 significant sites throughout the city, locations where the enslaved were brought ashore, held, auctioned, and where they later found community and created culture. This journey will begin at the transatlantic slave route to New Orleans marker on the moonwalk just behind Jackson Square on the river and conclude with the traditional voodoo ceremony in Congo Square. Additionally, visitors can participate in an interactive workshop, community discussions, and opportunities to connect with practitioners and cultural experts throughout the year, as well as utilizing our 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, weeknight podcast. Here live, available on a social media platform or utilizing our link. We are also thankful for your continued participation in our 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time podcast. Greetings and salutations to Goddess. Please forgive us for missing you all last night. Britt Brat Dash, greetings and salutations to you and yours. Lydia Martin, we certainly appreciate your continued support and participation. Daniel Neal, we certainly send our love and appreciation to you and yours and your continued support. And certainly greetings and salutations, Mambo, Sally Ann. We certainly appreciate your continued support and participation. And I will be unmuting my beloved co-host, Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez. Elder Reggie, we identify here as Green Soap, the leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth, and the beloved Bianca Johnson Plessy, a beloved member of La Source and our NOIVD. And I will be unmuting their mics momentarily. Voodoo rituals often involve drumming, dancing, spiritual possession. Practitioners may enter into trance like states to communicate with the Loa and the spirits. Offerings often involve rum, food, candles, candies, cakes, and are made to honor the spirits. Symbols like veve, sacred drawings, are used to invoke specific Loa, but popular culture has distorted these practices. Certainly, voodoo dolls, for example, originally healing tools, not instruments of revenge and witchcraft. So tonight we want to discuss, what do you think and why do you think spiritual traditions like voodoo are often sensationalized or feared in mainstream culture? And I want to begin with my beloved co-host, my godson, and also member of the Source and NOIVD, as well as our film and production director, Tyson Horn, has now joined us. Thank you so much for unmuting your mic. Queen Mother Sister Toni Val Martinez, you can also unmute your mic. Elder Reggie Green, so we appreciate you for unmuting. And our beloved Bianca Johnson Plessy, please go ahead and unmute your mics and come on into the conversation.
Greetings. Greetings.
Greetings.
Good evening, everyone.
Well, I think I want to say hello to everyone in the listening area and also my beloved co-host on the show. Um, I really think when Hollywood got a hold of it, one thing they know that people is strange. We're afraid, but we like to be made fearful. We like to be made, we like to be scared, even though we scary. And so Hollywood took something that was basically unknown, but not unheard of, that was whispered, and brought it to the big screen and sensationalized it to make it scare people, to be horror. I think it's more money in horror movies than any other genre of movies there is. I think if you lumped every horror movie, they would outdo romantic comedies and all of that, but not accounting the cartoons, not the Disney stuff. I'm just talking about the adult, real adult stuff. People like to be scared, and they had to find a way to scare them. So they took something that was unknown to a lot of them and feared to those who knew it. And between putting the best clips out on advertising, on the poster, and word of mouth, that's what happened. That's how they sensationalized it and made it into something bad. I mean, I literally have never seen a movie with hoodoo or voodoo in it where it was supposed to be used for good.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that.
I want to ask a question to the elders. When you go to New Orleans and, you'll stop in some of these shops that have souvenirs, T-shirts or what have you. And there's always, in some of the shops, more the popular ones, especially around the quarters area, there's like the voodoo dolls, even to the point where I've seen in gas stations a whole array of voodoo dolls that are on like a little, stand, like, next to candy and potato chips and things like that. And what are people not knowing when they buy those things and bring them home and start playing around with them? What are they doing that they just don't know that they're doing? You know what I mean?
Well, I think they thinking they doing something by buying them. And when you talk about New Orleans gas stations, New Orleans probably the only city where you could get alcohol, food, a T-shirt, a hat, a CD, a voodoo doll, and Mardi Gras beads all at the same gas station year round.
But that'd be some good chicken in them gas stations like Keys. Now hold on now. We got to put that plug out there.
They good for late
Keys
night
gas
stop.
station is off the chain.
But I think they fall into the sensationalism, going back to their childhood and movies of voodoo, and they walk in there and they say, "Oh, look, a voodoo doll." And it brings back a memory, and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna get this and scare my husband or scare my friend." I mean, everybody is familiar with the clip of the woman stabbing a voodoo doll that looked exactly like that football player in the Super Bowl. I mean, she was vigorously stabbing the doll, and just by what, coincidence or whatever, he played like she was stabbing that doll and they team lost. That was his worst game ever. And it's just luckily that somebody was over her and filming and knew what she was doing, but she was into it like her life depended on it. That's how much she believed, and it just turned out in her favor. So now what you think she gonna do? She gonna do it for everything she wants.
But I
She's
think
gonna get a
it's a
dog for
quick cop out
everything.
though. It's a quick answer and a quick cop out though to just say it's movies and film. Just like we try and allow society to say, hip hop and rap music somehow, fueled criminality in our community. I think it's much more insidious than that. It's a much more ingrained programming than that, and I believe much deeper institutions and tools have been utilized since the first slave rebellion, really to combat, counteract, act against African spirituality in all its forms. What say you, Elder Reggie?
I'm blessing everyone, Divine Prince. Always a great show, Sister Toni, Brother Ty,
Amen.
Sister Bianca, and I don't know if Josh here, but the way I see it is, and yesterday on my Facebook, I posted a thing because people are beginning to question what's called New Orleans tourism voodoo. And some people are being offended by this. Some people saying New Orleans is just a mockery. They have nothing of power, just selling sensationalism. But I beg to differ from that. The New Orleans voodoo dolls and things of that nature start coming in with these writers. I would say in the 1930s and the 1940s of putting day stamp and imprint on, which is called New Orleans voodoo. By them controlling the narrative, this is what we have today. But in reality, if you looked around in, say, 1910 or 1900, those particular fetish dolls that you see was not in existence. Well, we did have people using natural remedies and imbuing them with power to use them as an effective tool to get change done. Now, this could have came in the form of back then just a glass bottle filled with dirt, or a glass bottle filled with water, and you put your imprint and you put a hex on that and move it around. Also through with candles and things of natural intent. But this voodoo doll stuff, it's definitely in alignment with New Orleans voodooism. And that's why I'm so grateful for New Orleans International Voodoo. We're trying to set a precedence, trying to put a base to something. We have to go into the archives and bring it back out and try to say this is what New Orleans Voodoo stands for and represent. And it's a hard upliftment, but we are trying. And when Divine Prince added to it, it is more than just what movie and Hollywood put out. There's some truth. There is some works that was done. There was healing that was done. And there was imprint to slave revolts and all type of things. Even the marker we worked hard to put forward. I know from the research, I didn't bring it out, but voodoo was used in order to bring these men to march against the powers that be, which became to me the first march of civil rights in American history. This happened in 1866, only 1 year removed from 1865 and the end of slavery. So voodoo is a true system, is a true African ATR, and we just got to fight to put some respect on it.
And I noticed, and that is so correct on what you were saying, Elder Reggie, because I do notice that when I talk to a lot of people, just ask them questions about voodoo or hoodoo, I notice that like a lot of people tend to turn to it for like revenge. Like some people don't look at it as, well, we can use this for, like you said, for healing or, to get over something, like something in a positive way, or like self-love or whatever that you can use it for. I notice that a lot of people always seem to want to turn to that when it's like, oh, I need to get revenge on this person, or oh, my boyfriend or my girlfriend did something to me, so I need to figure out how to get them back. Or is this like it's always being used in like in a despiteful way, or revenge, or just anything instead of, like you say, more positive and uplifting ways?
It's either used to get somebody or get rid of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's either love or hate. But by me saying, you know, Hollywood had so much to do with it, I think the first movie I saw was White Zombie.
That's funny you said that because I just took a look at that and I think that came out what 1932 or something.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it was about an island. Now, in 1932, you had newspapers, but they was mostly local, and people all around the United States didn't really know about it, really wasn't interested in it. The use of it for resistance and all of that, they hadn't got to know that yet. It hadn't been passed along. In fact, they tried to keep it as a secret because they didn't want nobody to know they had slave uprisings. And that piqued people's interest. And the way they portrayed that movie, and then with the white woman getting in a spell by some voodoo men on an island. And then you had the true story of the serpent and the rainbow. Nobody really didn't know that story until it went on in the movies and spread around. And you'll find people that like those type of movies, they make New Orleans their destination. And I saw what you put on your post, Elder Reggie, with the girl saying it is no voodoo in New Orleans, but it is voodoo in Louisiana. And that statement to me, she was trying to bring people to focus on the area she was in.
Mm-hmm.
She said it's not in New Orleans, but it is in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is it where you at in Louisiana? Do you want people to come to you in Louisiana? That's what I got out of that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, that's a good point, Sister Toni, because when I watched the video, and most of the people that was chiming in, they was attacking New Orleans because they feel like New Orleans is just a tourism spot. And those who are moving with the medicine outside of New Orleans is really holding the real medicine. And that's the dig they was taking at. And unfortunately, people see it that way. But you, I, and especially us in this group here, we beg to differ. But people have internet, they have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and they're putting their viewpoints out there. And we got to continue like we're doing tonight, putting our viewpoints to counteract some of that stuff too.
Yeah, but they still can't overload the fact of the incidents that happened in New Orleans. Not just with Voodoo Hoodoo. You had so much evil and haunted places in this city. They can't deny that. It is voodoo all over Louisiana. And some of the smallest towns, oh my God, Crowley, Louisiana, and Ville Platte, everybody got a hoodoo spell on everybody in them places. Okay, my daughter lived right there. And that be the talk. Girl, you know she put a curse on. I'm like, what? That's all she said, Mama, that's all they talking about. Who got a curse on who? And all the different people you could go to get curses put on people. And that's not a good thing. That's not what it's supposed to be for, but that's what they utilizing it for. In those areas of Louisiana.
Yeah, with that being said, I really would like to know how effective those people curses that they are putting on people, because when I've really studied this stuff for years, and there's a process and there's a ritual to really put hex and things on people. There's a protocol, but if people are doing it without following these protocols, I wonder how effective it really is. Now, some things can become what we call belief in faith and still manifest, but I don't know if you could put it under the true tenet of voodoo, because voodoo comes with a prescription. It comes with a ritual. I just asked the question. That's all I'm doing here.
Yeah, and it's a very good question because let me give you, I don't know if they using black man, I don't know what they doing, but they calling it in terms of curse. And let me tell you something I do know from firsthand knowledge. Okay. My son-in-law had 2 women pregnant at the same time. One of them was my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter had her son at 6 months. My daughter was healthy, fine, didn't have no problems going to the doctor. All of a sudden, she went into labor, and her son was born weighing an ounce. He could fit in the palm of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to somebody because that's what they believe in down there.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who gave her the reading told her that this woman that her husband was dealing with had something put on her that made to try to make her have a miscarriage, to lose the baby. Now, this woman did not know none of this. She did not know that Leah had a son born at an ounce or whatever. So I don't know what they're doing. They constantly have to battle this woman. Constantly. They constantly battling her because she is constantly throwing stuff at them to the point that this sounds like something out of Moses. He was talking to my daughter on the phone with his mama in the room. My daughter says she heard him scream and his mama scream. Come to find out, they said that the belt that was just laying on the floor had turned to a black snake. And they was in there screaming and hollering, then dropped the phone, trying to kill a snake that they said originally was a belt. And I know to this day, I'm going to tell you, it's almost 17 years. This woman is still trying to throw stuff at them.
But Sister Toni, I would, not to cut you off, but I would classify that as witchcraft. Witchcraft is real. Witchcraft do have a hold in the United States as a whole. But when they sidestep witchcraft and try to line it with hoodoo and voodoo, I think that's a misnomer. But unfortunately, voodoo and hoodoo get tagged with the goods. But a lot of that stuff is just witchcraft. And witchcraft,
that's what I said too. Now, some of the stuff they do out there, people think they curse, they mind up. My daughter didn't even send them to me what they got to do. I say, well, what's wrong with you? And they tell me, and I tell them what to do, and then they swear it's all over, it's gone. So I'm like, well, that wasn't nothing. But whoever this woman goes to, that's on my daughter and her husband back, she must be dealing with some serious witchcraft. Some serious witchcraft.
Do you guys think that and this is the question for you guys, but do you guys think that they are taking this and mixing it with different like you said, witchcraft, taking and mixing with different things? Because I do know that some people would say like hoodoo, voodoo, but then they also mixing it with like the lesser keys and the greater keys of the King Solomon, like using different steals from the King Solomon of the, I think it's like 91 lesser or greater keys, and using different seals to open up different portals, or working with different seals and stuff and mixing them with voodoo and hoodoo, and everyone is kind of mistaking it from that? Or like, what are you guys thinking?
I'm in alignment with what Elder Reggie said. I think first and foremost, many of these people aren't trained, initiated, haven't even really apprenticed with anyone with any track record or receipts as it comes to these practices. So they're often mixing and matching practices and traditions, and then using what we might consider umbrella terms like hoodoo or even voodoo with 4 O's to call it that. But as Elder Reggie said, there's a formula, there's a math, there's a science, there's an alphabet to this. So it's often just a gumbo mix of if anything, of witchcraft and random practices. Greetings, Elijah Dupas. Who art thou? Are you here to speak, or are you just visiting? Okay.
Well, I think they're getting it all mixed up.
Now?
Yeah, we can hear you
we
now.
can hear you.
Greetings. Introduce yourself and what are you contributing?
Oh, you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, but you're not speaking.
Okay, sorry, this is my first time.
Greetings. Please introduce yourself and what are you contributing tonight?
Okay, sorry, this is my first time.
Greetings. Please introduce yourself and what are you contributing tonight?
Hi, my name is Elijah Dupas, and
Don't be nervous.
All right, you're amongst family. Speak your mind.
More difficult than what it looks like. I actually wanted to talk. So I actually wanted to talk on how. I actually wanted to talk on like what you guys were just discussing about how they're mixing and maxing practitioners, different backgrounds.
Yeah, turn your volume down and continue.
Okay. And one of the big things I noticed, because now I'm in Florida, is that like this is great because you're having a lot of people who are elders who are very of the culture, but there are more visible people that won't name who are very kind of taking the narrative of what New Orleans voodoo is. I've seen videos in the past with like Divine Prince and addressing some of those people. I think potentially that person that you were discussing earlier, Elder Reggie, and that was kind of upsetting for me to watch. Only because I love Louisiana, I love New Orleans, and I love the culture that was built. There's no other city like it. And what I will say is that there are people who are kind of mixing kind of like eclectic witchcraft practices, which there's nothing wrong with it, but they are kind of muddying the waters. So then when you have the rest of the ATRs, they kind of look down on New Orleans voodoo, Louisiana voodoo.
That's an excellent point. And one of the reasons they are doing
here
that,
in Florida, there's kind of a break. Between what some people would say was New Orleans voodoo versus plantation voodoo, which growing up in Louisiana, I never heard of the two separate terms. But I guess what people are saying from this side in Florida is that New Orleans voodoo is more of the VOO, more commercialized version, and then plantation voodoo is the more cultural, ethnic voodoo. And I guess I always wanted to ask you guys about that because I never heard about that when I lived there. But I'm hearing it.
Well, let me respond to that. First, there is no such thing as plantation voodoo.
Thank you, Divine Prince.
I was waiting for that to come.
Yeah, that kind of feeds my opening statement. And that is what we're seeing in the culture, in the practice, is really matching trending activities we see in social media. For example, the copy and paste research and then throwing that up in a 3 or 4 minute video as presenting as if you know what you're talking about, or as if you actually had some contact or some real research or experience with the practice and the tradition. So you see that then being mirrored, as Elijah suggested, with these people that, you know, have 100,000 followers and seem to be really popularized in social media. But it's really copy and paste, AI, performative, you know, clickbait. You know, what can I do to really, you know, get people to follow me, listen to me, and perhaps, you know, purchase readings, you know, and or services from me. But I often ask clients when they come to me with these stories of these various practitioners, where are their receipts? Where are their public comments and ratings? Where is their publicly documented track record of activity and exposure in these practices, in these traditions, and within the cultural communities attached to said communities? Because there's no operation in isolation. There's no such thing. That idea of this isolated witch is a very Eurocentric Western sort of notion. It's not Aboriginal, it's not indigenous, it's not Ifa, it's not voodoo, where ashe or energy is shared and conferred upon the community. And so you aren't doing anything if your community is not there to sort of witness it, co-sign in it, participate in it, operate within it. And so many of these sensationalized practitioners have no track record, have no receipts, have no real footprint. And some have even gone as far as to fake receipts. They will hijack your Facebook page and type some, you know, Dr. You know, Bozo the Clown, Hoodoo Man, you know, saved my marriage, you know, you should contact him, you know, and then they'll spam your, you know, your page or your profile, or they'll show up in your DMs, you know, the ancestors gave me a message for you, you know, you need to get this reading, you know, you just need to send me $5 to my Cash App, you know. And so we're finding that outside of what Elder Reggie and I and Bianca and Tyson are actually seeing, you know, in the actual reality of these traditions on the ground, what we're seeing often online is just that. What's trending, what's quickest and easiest to do, and what's clickbait. I pride myself on sharing in social media a reflection of who I am every day. Toni Val can tell you this is who I am every day. Elder Reggie and Bianca and Tyson can tell you this is who I am every single day. It's not something that I get on and throw a wig and some makeup on and then turn the camera on. You know, it's actually a vocation. It's a lifestyle for each and every one of us.
For over 30 years.
That's right.
Yeah, so often those highly popularized social media accounts, look in the background. Where are the other people? Where are the clients? Where are their elders? Where are the other people within that community that they are involved with? And usually there's nothing there.
Well, I don't get a lot of the stuff that y'all get on y'all Facebook page, because my thing on Facebook is history. But when I go on TikTok and Instagram, like you said, Divine, that clickbait, and if I'm in the mood and really bored, I'll go on the TikTok and make a comment that stir up some trouble. And I'll go the same as I do for supremacists. That's talking some. I go on there and stir up some trouble if I'm in the mood, but I don't get it like y'all get it. And Divine Prince then had his image and name stolen so many times. So many times people pretending to be him.
And I could speak to Divine Prince as you know, I mean, two things. One, when I first embarked on the practice to become a practitioner and everything like that, I had no idea that that was the path that I was taking, but it was a path that was calling me. But one thing that I'm so grateful for is that Divine Prince gave me like a warning. He was like, listen, once you put yourself out there on these social platforms, representing whatever aspect of the diaspora, if you would, like, if it's hoodoo, card reading, anything in that realm, you're going to be attacked. You're going to have a lot of people that's going to, want to break you down or, get your validation, all this other kind of stuff. And there's so much stuff that comes along with it. And so the one thing I learned was that y'all do live it every day. And I'm saying it y'all like that because I'm not in New Orleans right now. And I've seen, y'all in my community in New Orleans, but I see that, Elder Reggie, Macaru, all these people that I've come in contact, this is their life daily. It's a daily interaction with spirit. It's a daily interaction with the community, with each other. And it's not something that you just pick up when you're feeling like it and then put it down. There's no power in that. And the only power comes when it's ingrained in your lifestyle. So I could attest for that. It is a 24/7 voodoo experience when you live it,
Yeah, I can definitely speak on that and understand too what you guys were talking about, because I am partially deaf. So my thing about like my family background and history is like I grew up as being a seer, so I can like see things and things come to me because of me being partially deaf. I receive messages different, and like when in Michigan, like what you were saying, like before I used to do readings for people, and then I used to help them figure out why there's a certain different spirit or anything in their house. Just try to talk to them and help them about cleansing their house. And after a while, it has become a burden on me because I do have a husband and kids, and it felt like I just could not get no rest or a break. It was like just in the middle of the night, like 2:00 in the morning, someone would call me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I had this happen, and what's going on, and what do I do next?" It almost felt like we were starting to become a counselor for some of these people. And it felt like it did take a lot of energy out of me. Like you said, just working 24/7, because I did start to feel like I didn't really have a life of my own, because my life was starting to become their life, like trying to help them out or try to read for them or try to figure out things or try to find things or try to help remove certain spirits and energy and stuff. So I did have to step back and take a break for a little bit.
And that's one reason why I stay in the shadows, because I do not want that. And you do become a counselor. You become a spiritual counselor to people. And I think the Divine Prince has the best setups for getting people to contact him. And he stands firm. Look, don't just come knocking on my door. He stands firm. He not wishy-washy. He stands firm, and he's gotten that reputation out. You have to make an appointment. You can only call me at this time, and once we've made contact. But I still have some friends that they know not to come at me at certain times, but they still be blowing up my phone. And I listen to them because I don't really have friends. I have family and I have acquaintances. So if I've known you long enough and you in my inner circle, I no longer consider you an acquaintance. You are not a friend. You're my family. So I'll go ahead and take theirs. But that's one reason I stay in the shadows. And back to the witchcraft thing. A lot of Black people do practice witchcraft, but a lot of our people don't see it as witchcraft because I think they associate witches and witchery and witchcraft with white people. That's what they do. and black people do hoodoo and voodoo, not knowing that it's interchangeable. Black people can do witchcraft too. But it falls under that umbrella of, well, no, they're doing hoodoo. Why you say that? Because they black. And that's why I think the confusion comes in at, you know.
I mean, you know, Sister Toni, while you're talking about, I'm thinking about here in Atlanta, you know, there's a shop, there's a metaphysical bookstore, and they have readers there. They have people that do tarot readings, and they have, you know, gems and different things that but it's a store that is, it's situated like almost like an old house when you walk in, and if you go in this room over here, you can get everything dealing with the Native American things, you know, and right next to the Native American, you have Yoruba and Voodoo practices from all the different books that may be out. And then you turn the corner, and over in this corner section, you have all the Asian Buddhist type things. And you go over here, you have the Catholic statues. And then you go over here, you have the Wiccan and the witches. Over here, you have Egyptian stuff. Over here, you have tarot cards. It's like all of those divisions are under one roof, and you can come to this one location and partake in anything that you're into. But the one thing that I find most interesting is that all of that is under one roof. It's under one umbrella. But we are so conditioned to divide and section off what are you into? What are you into? What are you into? And it's almost like we just subconsciously, as you know, I'm just saying, we as a person go into a shop like that, you could just easily just stay in your lane and stay in your mindset. But I think the bigger picture is to step back sometimes and say, okay, you know what? Spirit, energy, vibration, all these things come into play. And I think that people gravitate towards what they like. And like Sister Toni said, you said in the beginning, we'd like to be scared. Halloween is a fun time of year. You know, you get scared and candy. And so it's like, I wonder how much of, and that might be too big of a question right now, but when it comes to this, Elder Reggie and how much is it to, like, if people are just into it, like, you know, some people just might like the idea of the voodoo dolls. They might like the idea of skeletons and crosses and things like, they just might like the iconography of everything. They might just like it because it's cool. What do you say to the people who, you know, they come into it because they think it's cool. But what do you say to them so where we don't, like, you know, kind of just turn our shoulder to them, but embrace them, say, okay, that's cool and all, but hey, you know, there's more to this. And what would you say to that person that's out there that just thinks it's cool, but then, you know, let's, you know, come on in. No, come on in and stay. There's more.
Yeah, well, Tyson, with all due respect, I'm definitely not a fan of all them disciplines being under one roof. It's fine if they're going there doing research and just buying a book, because each one of those disciplines have spirits and energy that aligns with that. And sometimes that stuff could cross you up. You got to be real careful. But for me, voodoo dolls and things of that tourism trap, and if I had my way, that stuff would go away. Because you could go out and buy a Bible, you could wear a cross on your neck. People are not desecrating the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, or none of those faiths. But when it comes to the ATR, it is okay to buy trinkets and buy things that debase a people through the iconography of the little animals and stuffed dolls and things of this nature. That's fine if you buy it and you buy it for a particular reason. But just know it comes with defacing of people, because that do not represent a people. The same thing with the caricatures of what we call during the Jim Crow South. And all these type things should be done away with in 2025, but they are not. They are selling because people love to see black people debased, love to see black people from savagery. and do not want to acknowledge and admonish our humanity. And so these things are going to continue to sell, but I am not a fan of that stuff. And that's my point of view.
Good
Yeah. Well, it's been a good show and a good conversation. But we've come to the end of our show. We actually ran over quite a bit. And I want to turn it over to Elder Reggie. We could continue this tomorrow because it really is a good topic. Divine Prince picked a good topic. But I want to turn it over to Elder Reggie to close us out for tonight.
Thank you, Sister Toni. Thanks everyone in the collective audience in the chat. We see you chatting, we appreciate it, and we love you. But like we read each night, lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo. Let me say that one more time, please. The spiritual medicine of voodoo. There's a medicine associated with voodoo. Brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery. Slavery was real. And there was one discipline that brought relief from slavery. The shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. No, not one of us in here tonight want a master. Who want a master dictating their life from sun up to sundown? And if you are one that's accepting of that, you're looking for a remedy to get from underneath that. And voodoo was one of the remedies that we use. And we got to put more respect on voodoo. With that, I say ashe, ashe, ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night. Good night, all.
Yeah, voodoo means to me, as I stated earlier, manifestation. Any object, any thing I can use that can manifest a results of positive for protection, for spirituality, and for economic reasons would be classified as voodoo for me.
Before we wrote in letters, we spoke in symbols. Every mark carved into calabash, cloth, or wall carried spirit, story, and truth. The Adinkra of the Akan, the Nsibidi of the Igbo, the Medu Nader of Kemet. These weren't decorations, they were sacred codes. A spiral meant life without end. A cross meant balance, not crucifixion. A bird looking backward meant learning from the past to move forward. These symbols held prayers, protection, and purpose. We wore them. We etched them. We passed them down without saying a word. Colonizers couldn't understand it, so they called it primitive. But this was our original scripture. Ready to relearn the language they tried to erase? Comment the African symbol you love or want to learn. Follow Dumuzid to keep decoding your roots. Before we wrote in letters, we spoke in symbols.
Allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yet I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees. It's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner away. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, "You only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise." Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.